Are your instruments going to break this winter? I hope not. How do we stop it? I'll tell you. If you play a wooden instrument like clarinet or bassoon, guitar, cello, violin, listen up. Hey, I'm Justin. I'm a musician here in New York. I play woodwinds. I repair woodwinds. I teach. I also do a lot of other things. So hopefully you're already doing this because, you're smart, but yeah, I kind of forgot too. And that's led to some issues, which I'll tell you about in a second. One thing we really have to be careful about is keeping our instrument at the right humidity level. Otherwise, this could lead to a lot of problems. Like what? Well, the biggest one would be your instrument cracks. And that's a huge deal. One of the first things I notice if my instruments are getting a little too dry, particularly clarinet, is these little joints here, this little O-ring, comes right off. It's not supposed to do that. Now, before you go get some glue, try to glue this guy back on, stop, put the glue down. This is held on just by tension. So this is telling me that my clarinet is too dry right now. I need to rehumidify it a little bit. The dryness has caused the wood to shrink, causing the joints to be loose. Let me show you this. This is the lower joint of a bass clarinet, and this didn't crack, but it could have. It got so dry last week that these keys down here didn't move at all. Now you can see they're moving pretty good now. So I've rehumidified it the past couple days and everything is good. These thumb keys back here also didn't want to move at all. So what happened was the wood shrunk a little bit, it contracted, which caused these keys to bind up and get tight, and they didn't want to move. Your initial instinct might be, oh, something's bent, I gotta bend the post, I gotta move the key, I gotta file something or oil it. All it needed was a little more humidity. So I've been sitting in here rehumidifying for the last couple of days and everything is totally back to normal. All right, so how do we stop that from happening? First, you need to grab one of these. This is just a digital hygrometer or humidity meter. I got a 2-pack on Amazon for like $8 or $9. You can keep this. I keep one on the shelf here where my horns are. You can keep one in the case, so you always know exactly what the instrument is in the case. Super cheap, but super useful. We're showing about 30% right now in this room. I've had the humidifier off for a little bit because I'm filming this video. Ideally, we want to keep our instruments between 40 and 60%, and that's for any wooden instrument. Don't tell anybody, my room got down to like 10% last week. Really bad, which is why I'm having these issues. Don't let that happen to you. So what do we do about it? I got just a basic $25 or $30 room humidifier. You can get it at Walgreens, Target, Amazon, whatever. There are bigger ones, more expensive ones, like $100, $150. I've never used them. If you have, let me know if you like it, like if it's worth the money. Now these are only good for like one room. It's not going to do your whole house. It's not going to do your whole apartment. I've got one in here. I've got one in the bedroom. This has brought the humidity back up to like 40 to 50% every day. And I got to keep it running, 100% all day, every day to keep that up. Because as soon as I turn it off, it is dropping down back in the 20s, which we want to stay away from. Now, the second thing you can do is humidify your case itself. Now, I've traveled a lot, I've toured a lot, traveled the country, worked on cruise ships for a little while. As I travel from different places, you really want to be careful about keeping your instrument safe and keeping it at a good humidity level. So if you're on tour, you might be traveling from somewhere super dry like Phoenix, and then the next day you're in Florida or somewhere really humid, and then you go up north to Minnesota and it's cold and snowing, and then down to Texas, and then over to California. Different climates, different temperatures, different humidities. And this really wreaks havoc on your instrument if you're not careful. And we can humidify the case itself. I like to use something like this. These are just humidity packs. These are the big ones. I use the big ones even in my smaller cases like clarinet. I just find them more consistent. They last longer. You can get them from Bovita. You can get them from D'Addario. Anywhere that sells instrument cases or accessories usually has these. These are great. I use the smaller ones also in my reed cases because woodwind players, we got to keep our reeds humidified too, not just our instruments. This is just a Pelican case. I have one of these for each instrument that I play. This is for clarinet. I got one for alto sax, tenor sax, all those. They're airtight. I keep all my reeds in here. One of these packs lasts for months. The other thing, if you don't want to get these packs and buy them and throw them away when they're old, you can get something like Damp It, which is just a rubber like tube with a sponge in it. There's different varieties too. You soak the sponge, throw it in your case. When it dries out, you just soak it again, put it back. I've also seen people use orange peels, and that seems to work pretty well. You just eat an orange, you take the peel, throw it in your case, it does the same thing. Anyway, let me know what works for you, or if you have any more questions, any advice for me, anything you want to learn. Peace and love. Good night.